John Urschel teaches math at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, which is known as the top science and math program in the world. Becoming a math professor there is extremely difficult, so that alone would make him impressive. But Urschel managed to reach there while playing professional football for the Baltimore Ravens in the NFL. Most people would find it nearly impossible to succeed in even one of these careers, no matter how hard they try. Just 0.02% of football players ever play in the NFL. Only 0.1% of applicants become tenure-track mathematics professors at MIT. The odds of doing both are close to zero. No other professional sportsman or woman in history has become a natural sciences professor at an Ivy League institution. MIT is on top, even tougher to crack than the Ivy League. This is the story of a man who managed to do it before he turned 30.
Yes. I learned how to be a good football player, good enough to play in the NFL. But most importantly, it was at Penn State that I realized mathematics was my passion, that this was going to be my life.
John Urschel was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba in 1991 and grew up mostly in Buffalo, New York. His mother, Vanita Parker, was the main influence on his early learning. After she and Urschel's father separated when he was 3, Parker, who had been a nurse and later became a lawyer, surrounded him with books, games, workbooks, and set high expectations. He got discipline, high standards, and memories of his football days from his father, John Urschel Sr., a thoracic surgeon and former college football player. As Urschel wrote in his memoir, Mind and Matter, "If I am truly an outlier, it is because of her." She didn't just admire his intelligence, she created a strong support system for it. Even before he learned math, Urschel was already doing things mathematicians do, spotting patterns, testing limits, finding helpful clues, and creating shortcuts. When his mother hid his Christmas and birthday presents, he figured out her hiding spots by noticing patterns. If she put cookies on high counters, he would open the dishwasher and climb up to reach them. She gave him advanced workbooks to keep him busy. On Friday nights, the family played games like Battleship, Connect 4, Monopoly, Othello, and chess. He and his mother competed in Sudoku at the kitchen table. It was a contest. While she attended night court for law school, he sat next to her, reading science books. Parker made learning part of everyday life. At the supermarket, she asked him to add up the total, including Buffalo's 8% sales tax, before the cashier finished. Doing this often, he learned quick ways to multiply by 8 in his head. But when he started school, his abilities proved almost completely misunderstood. In first grade, a teacher told Parker that her son was having trouble processing information. The school suggested he repeat the year and join a class for children with mental disabilities. Parker was shocked. She explained that her son was already doing 3rd and 4th grade workbooks at home, but the teacher didn't believe her. Parker, knowing how much he loved math, pushed for formal testing. The school dropped its original plan and thought about moving him ahead instead. Urschel sometimes felt awkward around others and got bored with regular schoolwork, but he liked how numbers were always fair. Puzzles made sense. They possessed rules, logic, and answers. Everybody needs to solve problems, he later said, showing a way of thinking he had long before he studied advanced math. He was already learning that if you look closely, you can find latent patterns and structures. John Urschel Sr., in his home office, has a picture of himself in football pads from his days as a linebacker at the University of Alberta. For John Urschel, seeing his father looking broad-shouldered, dirt-stained and proud has been an emblem of strength, manhood, and a bond with his dad. Football was more than merely a sport. It was a way to connect emotionally with his father. There was another reason as well. He wanted to belong. By middle school, Urschel hoped to join the social circles around him. Other kids in Western New York watched the Buffalo Bills and played football in their neighborhoods. Urschel wanted to feel get along with the crowd. But joining football was not easy because of his size. He was too heavy for the local Pop Warner leagues. When he finally joined a middle school team, the equipment managers struggled to find a helmet that fit him. He was big for his age, felt awkward, and was unsure of himself. Things changed when his father retired from his job as chief of surgery at a Boston hospital and moved back to Buffalo. Noticing his son's size and that he was out of shape, his father decided to help him get stronger. Every day after school, he drove his son to the gym. The body is something to work on, almost as solving a math problem. His father had him do stair climbing, weightlifting, and sprinting. Under this pressure, the boy who once found quick ways to solve math problems learned a tougher lesson. Some things have no shortcuts. Muscles only grow through steady, repeated effort. Add weight, rest, adjust, do it again. His father knew how rough football could be. Coaches don't make men, he told his son. They make football players. As Urschel grew, so did his academic life. In his teens, he experienced two major life experiences. The summer before 8th grade, Urschel attended an engineering camp where kids built balsa wood models and vinegar rockets. He found it dull, and his father saw this. So, using their mutual name, his father signed him up to audit a calculus class for business majors at the university at Buffalo. Since John was almost 6 feet tall, he looked old enough to blend in with the college students. Sitting quietly at the back of the classroom, Urschel found that calculus felt very different from basic math. Learning calculus was like learning a secret code, he later said. Calculus is the math of change. It helps us understand things that move, bend, speed up, grow, or shrink. With this new knowledge, Urschel soon started helping older college students with their homework. He later went to Canisius High School, a Catholic prep school in Buffalo, on an academic scholarship. While he was pretty smart, he struggled with football. On his first day in gear, he had a tough time. Since he was so big, the coaches put him on the offensive line. If you do not watch football closely, you might not notice the offensive line when they do their job well. Offensive linemen do not throw touchdown passes or run down the field. Their job is to make time and space for others. They have to hold back 300 pounds of force so someone else can succeed. Meanwhile, a high school physics class sparked his curiosity again. Talking about Einstein's thought experiments and time dilation, Urschel realized that math is far more than a way to check what we see. At the Pennsylvania State University, Urschel's dual pursuits turned serious. He simultaneously emerged as both a legitimate NFL prospect and a gifted young mathematician. Division I football requires nearly complete commitment from student athletes. Urschel underwent rigorous training, extensive film study, demanding practices, and Saturday games in front of large crowds. Despite this exhausting environment, he advanced rapidly through the math curriculum. Guided by mentors such as Professor Ludmil Zikatanov, Urschel was introduced to original mathematical research. He developed a strong passion for the process, later saying, "I know no other feeling like the satisfaction of discovery." Urschel was studying during one of the most challenging periods in Penn State's history. In November 2011, the university underwent substantial upheaval following the arrest of former defensive coordinator Jerry Sandusky on child sexual abuse charges. The resulting crisis led to the removal of university leadership, the dismissal of Joe Paterno, and the imposition of severe NCAA sanctions. Players were subsequently permitted to transfer without penalty. Urschel chose to stay. Despite the surrounding turmoil, Urschel completed a bachelor's degree in mathematics in 3 years, followed by a master's degree the subsequent year, simultaneously maintaining a 4 GPA. He was recognized as an All-Big Ten offensive lineman and received the 2013 William V. Campbell Trophy, often referred to as the Academic Heisman, as well as the 84th AAU Sullivan Award. By the time he finished at Penn State, Urschel was well known as a football player. Still, His achievements in mathematics were impressive in their own right. He focused his research on matrix analysis, numerical linear algebra, matrix computations, and spectral graph theory. To understand what Urschel does, it helps to know what a matrix is. A matrix is just a grid of numbers. While that may seem basic, matrices are essential in science and computing. For example, a digital photo is a matrix of pixels, and a social network can be shown as a matrix of user connections. Machine learning, weather forecasting, engineering, search engines, recommendation systems, and artificial intelligence all rely on matrix math. The better mathematicians understand matrices, the more reliably computers can solve real-world problems. Urschel also studies spectral graph theory. In math, a graph is a network made up of dots and lines. The dots can stand for airports, web pages, molecules, computers, or people, while the lines show how they are connected. Spectral graph theory converts a network into a matrix and searches for special numbers within it. These numbers help reveal the network's structure. Urschel also works in numerical linear algebra. In school math, answers to problems are usually precise. But supercomputers usually use approximations, since exact answers can be too costly or even impossible to find. Numerical linear algebra looks for ways to make these approximations reliable. If a computer gives an answer after 1 billion calculations, how can we tell if it's close enough to the real answer? This is where the eigenvalues come in. An eigenvalue is a special number you get from a matrix that tells you something important about how a system works. Eigenvalues can indicate whether a building is stable, how quickly a disease could spread through a network, or how difficult a problem will be for a computer to solve. Urschel's doctoral dissertation at MIT, called Graphs, Principal Minors, and Eigenvalue Problems, won the 2024 Siam Richard C. DePrima Prize for outstanding work in applied mathematics. His thesis explored how to find hidden network structures from limited information, how systems behave based on their matrices, and how algorithms can solve eigenvalue problems with solid guarantees. The important word here is guarantees. Computer scientists often see that algorithms work well in practice. Mathematicians want to know why they work, when they work, and how reliable they are. Urschel's research sits at the intersection of practical computing and sound mathematical proof. Urschel also received the 2024 Siam Early Career Prize in Linear Algebra. Urschel's two worlds collided in 2014. He entered the NFL draft and was picked by the Baltimore Ravens in the 5th round. Starting his pro football career didn't mean leaving academics behind. Instead, he began a stretch where balancing both became nearly impossible. Adjusting to life as a rookie in Baltimore was tough. Urschel had to master the NFL playbook, compete with top athletes, and handle a job where mistakes are seen by everyone and can be painful. Urschel didn't give up on math. He started graduate classes at MIT while playing for the Ravens. He studied in the off-season and read research papers whenever he could between football duties. People often assumed that knowing angles and vectors helped him block better. Urschel disagreed. "Football and math are disjoint in my experience," he said. He didn't want math to be turned into a sports cliché. Both football and math shaped who he was, but each guided him in its own way. But in August 2015, that tenuous balance fell apart. During a training camp practice in full pads, Urschel tried to block outside linebacker Terrell Suggs and got a serious concussion. The pain in his body wasn't the worst part. What scared him most was what happened to his mind. He couldn't do advanced math. "I'd reach for a theorem that I knew, and it wouldn't be there," he later recalled. For a mathematician, the brain is the main tool for their work. The concussion just blocked his thinking for months. He recovered and returned to football, but the danger was now obvious. In summer 2017, a major study from Boston University found signs of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, in 110 out of 111 brains of former NFL players. 2 days after the study was published, Urschel announced his retirement from football. He was 26. He could not risk his brain. Officially, he stated, "This CTE was actually a serious concern of mine. Yes, I am retiring. I did retire. But at the same time, I love the NFL. I love football. I wouldn't trade my experiences for the world. I do believe that football is a great game. I didn't want to be fodder for anti-football establishments." After retiring, Urschel quickly shifted from being known as the NFL player who does math to focusing on becoming a respected mathematician. He moved to Cambridge and spent his days at MIT. In 2021, he finished his PhD with Michel Goemans, the RSA Professor of Mathematics and Department Head. After earning his doctorate, Urschel joined some of the world's top research centers. He became a member of the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton. Later, he was named a junior fellow at the Harvard Society of Fellows. By fall 2023, Urschel joined MIT's mathematics faculty as the class of 1956 Career Development Assistant Professor. Today, Urschel researches matrix analysis and numerical analysis, teaches advanced subjects, mentors younger mathematicians, and publishes in advanced journals. Urschel is a black mathematician in a field where few black researchers are present. His first-grade experience, when a school almost misclassified him even though he was advanced, is a warning that has still stayed with him. Urschel believes that mathematical thinking is important in everyday life. Most people will never use spectral graph theory or calculate eigenvalues, but everyone has to make choices without having all the facts. Mathematics teaches us to ask questions like, what do I really know? What am I assuming? What logically follows from the facts? Where might my reasoning go wrong? Being mathematically illiterate is quite a dangerous thing, Urschel has said. To him, not having quantitative reasoning skills is similar to not being able to read. Urschel now leads a much quieter life, intentionally away from the spotlight of sports. He lives in Cambridge with his wife, Louisa Thomas, and their daughter, Joanna. Thomas is a journalist, historian, and author who writes for The New Yorker. She met Urschel when she was assigned to write a profile of him for Grantland. Although the profile was never published, they stayed in touch, started dating, and later co-wrote Urschel's 2019 memoir, Mind and Matter. To keep his competitive spirit alive, Urschel now plays chess and reads constantly. Chess gives him a world of patterns, strategy, patience, and consequences. Academic research is also competitive, but in a quieter sense. His days now include walking to his MIT office, having espresso in the math department, eating simple snacks, reading research papers, and working at the chalkboard. "It's a pretty cool life," Urschel says. "I wake up in the morning and I walk to my office. I think all day." His retirement as an active player did not mark the end of his involvement in the sport. He was appointed to the College Football Playoff Selection Committee on the 22nd of January 2020, serving a 3-year term, which began in the spring of that year. At first glance, John Urschel's life seems hard to piece together. He was a Division I football star, an NFL offensive lineman, earned a PhD from MIT, and became an award-winning math researcher. All in all, he has published 6 peer-reviewed mathematics papers to date, and has 3 more ready for review. He's won academic awards for his math prowess. All this while playing guard for the Baltimore Ravens. John Urschel chased more than one dream and eventually had to choose which one to dedicate his life to. In football, a game ends when the whistle blows. In mathematics, the questions can keep coming long after the stadium is silent.